Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Automox Product Talk podcast of the year. It's 2026, and today we have a couple of special guests. One that you all recognize, and a brand new person. We're going to be chatting through our all new partnership with Splashtop. Coming to you, I think this should be a day or two after our general availability launch, but we were lucky enough to grab Steph for a few minutes on launch day itself because things are going pretty smoothly. So we're going to be talking today about the partnership with Splashtop, why we built it, and what you all should expect if you come and look at us or have access to this new Splashtop capability today. So with us today to help us with the discussion, we have someone from Splashtop that we've worked very closely with throughout the project. That's Italo Nava. Welcome, Italo. Why don't you give us a quick background?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Peter and Stephanie. Great to be here with both of you and excited to share the story a little bit more here about this partnership. I been with Splashtop for over 12 years, going on my 13th year now, and have done all sorts of projects here, anything from new business acquisition to customer success, and now handling partnerships. But I'm very familiar with our history, our software, and the growth it's had over the last 20 years. Actually, we're going to be celebrating our 20th year anniversary this year, so excited to be here and talk a little bit about it, and hopefully give you guys some insights and help you with your remote control capabilities.
Excellent. Awesome. I had no idea about the 20th year anniversary.
Yeah.
Splashtop is 1 year from being able to go to a bar, so that's awesome. We'll look forward to that celebration as well. And then also with us today, I know Steph is on many of our podcasts, but extra special guest today because Steph will have you kind of go over your involvement in the project as well.
Yes. Hi everybody. Glad to be here again. Splash Shop is my baby. I am the PM that has kind of handled the partnership and the integration. So I'm really excited to talk to you about it today. And yeah, even though you won't see it, today is launch day. So yay. Yay us.
Woo! Yeah, I think we're maybe releasing this like a day or two after, so it's effectively still launch day. I know for a lot
Mhm.
of our customers, this is like the big cutover day where they're getting the Splashtop capabilities for the first time. So very exciting. Uh, yeah, so today we're going to chat through a bunch of different stuff around Splashtop and Automox and all the context and information for you all to understand why we're so excited about this new launch. So first of all, I just want to set kind of the context around where this makes sense for IT operations and security teams. I think we all probably know, Automox's approach and a lot of the new approaches to endpoint management are very automation heavy, right? You want to automate as much of the simple manual work as you possibly can because there's more and more of it. Uh, but there's also fewer and fewer IT resources and time as kind of the purview of IT expands, but we really haven't seen a lot of expansion and the budget for new full-time employees, in fact, is probably contracted, if anything, over the last couple of years. Despite all the automation, right? Maybe that'll, if you're really lucky, that'll automate 90% of your work, but there's still a decent chunk in there where hands-on access to a device is still really necessary. Whether that device is on-prem in an office somewhere or uh, remote at someone's house, it's really important that IT has the ability to access that, hopefully without having to drive 4 hours to go and like click reboot on a device or run a script or just look at something through the end user's eyes. So that's one of the reasons why we started to look at the partnership. I think the other reason, right, is as most organizations probably have some way to remotely access devices, right? Uh, but there's a lot of context switching costs today. If they're using different tools, they may have to open up a different console, etc. So be really curious, Italo, Steph, what your opinion is there and what you've seen throughout your years of experience in IT and security.
I think, one of the big things that I've seen, at least with our customers and our customer base, is that context switching between tools, having to worry about, the permissions in the different tools and the auditability in that, right? Whenever you're using them to troubleshoot problems, you need to do it quickly. Something has gone wrong, right? And you need to very quickly figure out what's going on. And so I like our approach to having it all in one place, right? You're not switching. You don't have to worry about who's accessing what. All those controls are kind of taken care for you, and you're just, focusing on solving the problem at hand.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stories that I hear often, definitely around the frustration of having to sometimes you may or may not have a remote control solution. So then you either have to start a trial somewhere, you have to then download that application, or if you have an application, you got to go log in and you got to get authentication again.
Mhm.
Um, and then and then remember, what you're looking at anyways, that may take you some time. And then depending who your vendor is, uh, as you're in that process trying to get access, you may be getting a bunch of ads or something, just to try to get access to this machine. So definitely throws you off, definitely adds more time. Um, Whereas, moving forward, you have something that's, immediate, help you continue that remediation, solve things a little bit quicker. So yeah, I just summarize. I think I see often the pain that IT teams go through with having to bounce between these other applications just to get something that should be embedded somewhere in your workflow.
Yeah, something quick,
Awesome.
right?
Yeah, and I think
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. And I think what we hear, and Steph, probably one of the things that you heard from many customers as we were kind of exploring whether or not to even do something like this in the first place is not only is the context shift expensive, but like the overhead of having multiple tools is quite complex. Not only from the perspective of I have multiple things I have to jump to, but also from the perspective of, I have multiple renewal cycles I have to go through as an IT administrator. I have multiple like invoices that I need to keep track of. I Nothing annoys myself, having being the budget owner on a few tools. I can imagine it's 100 times worse for IT administrators, having 150 different tools that all have separate renewal cycles, all have separate invoices. That's a lot of mental
yeah,
energy for folks to undergo. So I think another big advantage of the partnership here is bringing some of those renewal cycles, invoices, et cetera, under one single a roof, so they don't have to think about all those different things for at least two tools, right? They can at least consolidate a bit there. Um, the next topic that I want to chat through is why Splashtop, right? I know Italo's sitting right here, so it's a little bit awkward, but like we obviously looked at a variety of different vendors, right? Like any company would, right? When we decided we wanted to go down the pathway of partnering with a vendor instead of continuing to build out our previous solution ourselves. And I think ultimately what we found to be the most important thing to our customers after that, just having a tool to be able to remote into and not have to context shift between different consoles, et cetera, was a big focus. And when I say big, I mean huge. Probably the most important thing for our customers is uh, reliability at scale of whatever partner we chose, and then also um, is that tool secure? Do they have a good security posture? Are they doing everything as securely as possible as far as the internet transmissions between, the streamer and the viewer? So, Tal, if you could talk a little bit just about kind of the reliability and the security of the tool. I know we already alluded it with a 20-year history at
Yeah.
Splashtop, but let's dive in.
No, I mean, those are two, you said security, reliability, and I think it aligns a lot with Automox. So I think, and even when we bring on partnerships, we want to make sure a lot of the values align. So, in your efforts and analyzing this, we also analyze. So we do feel very, I think, confident this is a great partnership in general. But going into the reliability, I mean, if you speak to our CTO all the time, his main key is we have to deliver something that our customers can rely on and it works for them, especially when it comes to IT ops, because it's always like urgent. It's always like it needs to get solved for something to happen. And the nice thing, and I would assume when you guys are evaluating other vendors, and if you're getting into Splashtop, you're probably going to see that, hey, we've been around quite some time, and we serviced a lot of like media types orgs and even gaming type orgs. So a lot of people that require, high bandwidth or high performance, even like, Acuity, like color stuff, whatever they require to perform their job. So reliability, it becomes like a big factor. Like if we are choppy or latency and, we're not um, consistently connecting, that's not something they can rely on. And I want to highlight, that media space, because imagine like live broadcasting. Um, a lot of these, they have people in the field, you have people in the studio, you have people at home, and a lot of these folks are 24/7, or something always changes, right? You get events that happen, they gotta mobilize the whole team and go do something. So wherever they're at, they need a tool that's gonna work. So I mean, over the course of 20 years, I think one of the first things, security, performance, reliability are like priorities. And that's why we support so many operating systems. There's multiple configurations of what you can do to make sure, depending the environment you're in, that we're going to be, able to perform. Uh, and I would assume, and I'm pretty sure that hopefully Automox saw that as they evaluated as you guys first started testing. I know Steph has done a lot of testing, so hopefully that was something that she recognized. But I think, in IT, that's, as vendors, that's what we owe to them, is to give them something that they can rely on, especially when it comes to remote control.
Yeah, and just to give some context too of what we've seen, kind of like real world data since we've integrated, we ran our EA program, and like you said, reliability, security, and time to connect, right? Like they want to connect quickly, securely, and they want it to always work. And that's what we've seen. We have an average time to connect that's under 10 seconds. And during our EA program, the connection success rate was 95%. Um, so, yes, that's a big thing that we looked at amongst others, feature set capabilities, those kind of things, how we could integrate. But Splashtop, came out as really the clear winner in everything that was important to us.
So I want to pivot a little bit and talk about how we actually packaged the partnership with Splashtop for our customers and new customers as well. And we really try to do this in a way that would allow customers that didn't have a very complex use case for remote control. Maybe they just need to be able to like remote into endpoints and run scripts on those endpoints and see through the end user's eyes. So attended or unattended access to Windows and Mac devices initially, and then eventually Linux devices as well. We wanted that capability to just be bundled within our top Automate Enterprise tier. So that tier will get the core remote control functionality from Splashtop automatically for those kind of baseline use cases of remote troubleshooting. For those that have more complex use cases, or maybe they want a help desk team to use some elements of remote control within Automox, we we have a module called Automox Resolve, which is powered by Splashtop, of course. And that tool is available as an add-on module for our top 2 tiers, so Automate Essentials and Automate Enterprise. And that, includes everything in core remote control, but also has a ton of additional functionality like file transfer or multi-monitor support, to concurrent text in the same session recording, etc. Excellent. So given that packaging context, I want to talk a little bit about just some of the use cases that we are likely to see fulfilled by this integration. I think one of the ones that comes up a lot is, strange patch failures, right? Multiple successive patch failures that need to be investigated. A lot of times IT admins will hop right onto the device and look at error logs or see what's actually going on at the device level. I think the other couple of big ones are potentially help desk level support if an end user is having an issue. That's one. Or probably most importantly is like critical endpoint issues that require immediate attention, right? I don't need to run a script automatically, but like someone or a server or something is not operating how it should be, and I need to hop in immediately and start remediating, in a command line or similar. So I don't know if either of you want to kind of chat through any of those use cases or maybe some customer stories related to that.
I can highlight on the user support portion of it or the help desk because I think often it's overlooked for IT ops teams or ops teams because, and depending how the environment I think of that organization is, it could be that at least internal support may be driven by another team but more often than that, IT is still the primary go-to for even if you're in a hybrid environment or you have large offices or in a school environment, for example. And I think like the use case usually is someone reports an issue. Like I go to my teams, I'm like, hey, I have a problem. My password or something is not working, and and a lot of times like, okay, run this program, and it's gonna generate a code or something. I'm gonna install something. Sometimes then I need some admin permissions to install. So that will take time. And then or that will interrupt that user from maybe they have usually when they're pinging ITs because they need to move and get something else executed. So that's going to interrupt their flow of what they're doing. So it may impact multiple people. So all that time and delay in getting that tool and getting access, I think is challenging for a lot of IT ops teams. Whereas, with Automox Resolve now, there's that ability to just that, and again, that instant connection. Not only that, you may not even need to interrupt the user with some of the background stuff that will be coming. You can, run a terminal or get access to the command prompt or something and run it. It may be as easy as something like that, right? Depending what the case is. But I do think having, again, that consolidation and right tools in IT ops hands can help special user support because you may prevent a bunch of future tickets or something that they may be adding on. It lets you be a little bit more proactive, even if you see that user may ping you. It's like, oh, I see obviously you see the health of that machine. Let me do this, and it should perform better. You know what I mean? Even my computer's been slow this morning. I'm like, what's going on? Can you impact it in any way?
Excellent.
Uh, I had a call with a customer a few weeks ago when we were starting to talk about, remote control, bringing Splashtop. And he told me, I'm just trying to get yelled at as little as possible. Like, I need to be able to fix these issues. And when it is, my boss or my CEO, I need it to work. I need to be able to get in fast and I need it to work. He said, so how can you help me, I need this to not cause problems for me. And he kind of laughed. But it was just kind of a funny, I don't know, example of some of the things that people are trying to do with it. Like, yes, your goal is to troubleshoot efficiently, be able to navigate a complex situation, But you have like the more human side of it too. That's just, yeah, I want this to work. I don't want to get in trouble with my boss. I want to be able to fix things quickly and look good to my
Yeah.
superiors. kind of a kind of a
Yeah.
situation.
That's a great
100%.
point. I think a good segue into kind of the closing, which is like kind of just summing up why we built this and where we think, if you're experiencing these sorts of problems, it may become useful. I think the first one obviously is the fastest possible response from an IT or security team when the situation isn't covered by automation alone, right? That 10% or last mile type support and troubleshooting that needs to happen in any environment that has any level of complexity realistic. I think the other big one is just less tool switching during those high pressure moments, right? Like having everything available within one place so you can hop between, maybe a policy log of like my failed patches or a configuration issue that is going on that I'm not able to fix with automation for some reason. I can jump directly into a remote session for that device easily. I think the other thing is just a simpler workflow, as a result of that. And then I think the big one, obviously, as well, that we talked about, that's an added benefit on top of just the actual IT and security use cases, is the benefit of potentially consolidating, some of your invoicing line items, your tool sets, while still getting what we believe is a best in class experience from endpoint management and remote control together. You're essentially at a face level. It's like one tool, but obviously we're benefiting in this scenario from Splashtop's 20 years of experience in the space and everything that they've built up to this point.
Peter, if I may add on the security portion, I think that in this process, if you have a separate tool or a standalone tool, or you're using some, different workflow, that process itself can be risky. What I've seen a lot of times, you run a program on an end user's computer, and that then you install it, and then you forget to delete it or just leave it there. Now that machine does have some sort of vulnerability if someone else can get access to it in any way. Or you may be that you log in with, one person in your team has access to a certain tool, and then you're sharing passwords now, and then you have that on your machine, which then could break some compliance. Um, again, I think eliminating those tool switching and being in one place, one payment. You have control of the users. You know what users are getting access to. You have the logs of all the sessions that you do. I think in general just adds more security to your environment, and what your process and workflows are.
Excellent. I completely agree. I think that's a great place to leave it today. Appreciate both of you joining me on the podcast. I think it was a great discussion. If this is something that resonated with you, you can go to our website and check it out. But hopefully you learned something or got some information that you didn't have before off of the podcast. So thank you, Italo and Steph, for joining, and we will talk to you all next month.